Welcome to the Veterans Archives podcast, where every veteran story is honored and celebrated. Join us as we delve into the rich histories and experiences of those who have served our nation. You can catch our podcast on all major podcast platforms, as well as every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Reads Across America Radio. At Veterans Archives, we believe your story matters. Visit our website at www.veteransarchives.org to explore more about our mission, discover resources for veterans, and stay updated on upcoming episodes. Connect with us on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn to engage with our community. Subscribe, like, and share to spread awareness about our veteran stories. Whether you're a veteran, a supporter, or simply curious about the profound journeys of those who have served, Veterans Archives invites you to listen in, learn, and be inspired. Join us as we continue to honor and preserve the legacies of our veterans. Good morning.
Hey, good morning to you too.
Thank you.
Also.
Thank you. Today is Wednesday, September 18th, 2024, and we are talking with Robert Magdowski, who served in the United States Navy, and I would be remiss if I didn't say he served as a Seabee, because I think that's very important.
Yeah.
So Robert, we're going to start out really simple. I'm just going to ask you, when and where were you born?
I was born in Tampa, Florida, 1944. My dad was stationed in the military down there.
Okay, so you come from a military family?
Yes, sir.
All right. Tell me a little bit about your dad.
Yeah, everybody in my family was in the military.
Okay.
During World War II, and my grandpa was in World War I. All my aunts and uncles on the Canadian side were in the military. They were at the Battle of Dieppe. You ever hear of Dieppe Gardens in Canada?
I have not.
Where the Essex Scottish went in and got wiped out. That's where my mom and dad grew up with them kids, because that unit came from Windsor.
Okay.
Yeah, so everybody that I grew up with had an uncle that was, one was a Spitfire pilot. The Battle of Britain, you know, he got killed. He got, what happened with his plane? He was landing, another plane ran into him and killed him.
Okay.
And then, let's see. Yeah, my other uncle, Armin, he was in the Merchant Marine.
Uh-huh.
You know, he was at the second battle, or he joined when he was 17, and he went to England, you know, and he was there for the second Blitz and all that. He went all over the world. My Uncle Dave was a paratrooper during the Korean War.
Okay.
Korean War.
Do you know what unit he was with as a paratrooper? Do you remember?
He was a Canadian. He was with the,
okay.
He was with the Van Deus.
Okay.
He was with the Van Deus. And then my aunt was in the military on my mom's side.
And so you literally came from a military family.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And my dad's side, my Uncle John, he was with the 11th Air Force in Alaska during the Second World War. And then my Uncle Eddie, he was at Moffett Field in Florida where Doolittle was training.
Yeah.
To bomb, you know, Tokyo, he was there.
Sounds like your family came from Canada originally. Is that
true?
Your dad, your mom?
Well, my grandpa, my dad side, he was a bootlegger, and they had a cottage on the other side of the river, and that's where they used to bring the booze across during the Depression. And so they all stayed over there all summer. That was, you know, about the time the bridge was built. They all married Canadian women.
Right. Right.
But the Essex Scottish, you know, they went to school, they knew them all. And they got wiped out, that Essex Scottish, when they landed at Dieppe. Then it was a big battle. They all got captured or killed. So.
Right.
And we'd sit around, you know, when I was a kid, and they'd all be talking about it, you know, the battle. You know, they knew everybody. As I was growing up, there was all these World War II veterans around. You know, they were always talking about the war and stuff. And then when I was about 17, a guy, I was a scuba diver. I was doing, you know, I was just a kid, but this guy come along named Louis Caladino. And he was a carpenter, and he hired me. And he was a veteran of the Korean War. And this guy and he was a merchant seaman for 10, 15 years. So he had all kind of stories. So he used to tell them all to me. Now, he won the Silver Star and all that. He was up for the Distinguished Service Medal, but the guy that was with the officer got killed. Mm-hmm. So he didn't get that, but I got pictures of him, and, he was a good guy, and he was at Heartbreak Ridge. He said, I wasn't the first guy up there, but he said I was the first one up there that was alive. He said everybody else got killed. He said they got to the top, there was only like 30 of them left, he said. Uh-huh. And that was a takeoff from that movie, Pork Chop Hill. He said that's just the way they fought it. They came up, he said, the lights come on and all that. So I was with him, and he knew all kind of veterans, And I was working, I met guys that were at Tarawa. He had all kind of buddies, but they were all military. And when I was working, I worked heavy construction, concrete form work. And these guys were all, tough, They all had wars. I worked with one guy that was in the same platoon as Audie Murphy.
Oh.
He said that movie was just like the way he did it. He said he wasn't a hero. He said, but that Audie Murphy was. I met a guy named Ardo that was with Carlson's Raiders. He went in he was at Guadalcanal and all that. And I met a guy. I met so many guys over my lifetime that were in big battles and that, so. Right. That's how, I was always, since all my relatives had been in the military, it just, that's all they'd all talk about stuff.
This is fascinating because I didn't grow up in a military family, and I didn't grow up around a lot of military people. My stepfather served in Korea, but that was the extent of the stories that I heard. So I just wanted to ask you, did you find yourself sort of looking up to these people because of what they had done and who they had served with?
Look, when I grew up, we lived in an apartment that my grandpa owned. And all us cousins, brothers, we all lived in the same apartment building. Right. And the toys we had back then we played with were them toy soldiers too. Yeah. And I got a big collection of them upstairs in this place here. I got a warehouse over in Westland that's just loaded with them. That's just a hobby though.
Talked about diving, you talked about working heavy construction with these guys?
Yeah. When I worked with Louis, we were building just modernization jobs, additions and stuff, and he was a character, that guy. He'd been all over the world several times. He's the one that kind of raised me, and working with all them guys and hearing stories, you just wanted to do something. What happened, how I joined the Navy, I was an apprentice carpenter. I had quit that. With that Louis, went and got an apprenticeship and all that. Mm-hmm. I was in the carpenter school in 1967 when my buddy, this Eric Felt guy, he was a carpenter too, and I knew him. We grew up together, and they came to the school looking for bodies to join the military. Okay. The Seabees. Yeah.
Now, around what year was this?
This was June of 1967. I said, nah, I ain't gonna join. So he joined. Went home and I called the draft board. And they said, man, you're on the list. You're going next month.
so you might as well join, right?
Yeah, I said, well, hell. And it was the same thing. It was only 2 years. Yeah. And it was what they call the IPO program. Since you had experience, they made me a corporal to go in. I got E4 going in with no boot camp. And they brought in about 40,000. They brought in 50,000 guys to join the Seabees, to go to Vietnam. Yeah. So we joined that. We went to Davisville, Rhode Island for indoctrination into the military. And, spent time there. Came out of that, shipped me right away to Port Hueneme, California, where the big Seabee base was. Yeah. And put me with MCB4, a mob. We'll call it a mob. Mm-hmm. That stands for Mobile Construction Battalion. So I joined them, and then And when they came back from Vietnam, they rebuilt the outfit, with guys.
Right.
Then we went right over. I didn't have no boot camp and all. I just went right over.
So you never went to boot camp? That's really interesting to me. You're the first person I've ever talked to that did not go to boot camp.
We went right over.
You feel like you missed out on anything by
No, not really. When we were in Port Hueneme, of course, we went down to Oceanside and, do the rifle practice and all that. But there was no marching or no KP or none of that with us outfit. Right. They just wanted guys to work. You know how they checked you? They'd grab your arm. You're warm. We need you. So anyway.
This was kind of at the height of the war, right? I mean, they really
that wasn't the height of the war.
Okay.
So then we went over in February. I went in February of 68. Yeah, 68.
Okay.
Yeah, I went over there. And then we went right up to Khe Sanh, which is in up north on the DMZ, which is the furthest combat base. The only one further was Khe Sanh, which was a little further up than us. And we went up there. I was only there about a week. We went up there to resurface the runway because we'd pull up the mats and then they would take all the mud out during the monsoons, and then they'd regrade them, and we lost one guy named Hubbard got killed, and then the guy that slept above me, some young kid, he got wounded, mortar attack, and his mom wrote back a nasty letter to the officer.
Really?
This kid was so 17. Of course, I didn't tell you, I was 22 when I went in the military.
Right.
I was 22. I was as old as the guy in charge. I was old compared to everybody else.
Yeah, it was a lot of young kids, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah. This kid that got hurt was young. He got wounded. I never heard of it, but he was packing his pea coat, and I told him, I said, listen, buddy, where we're going, you ain't going to need that pea coat. You leave that back here with whatever gear you're leaving here, So he got, I never, he wasn't nice enough young kid. He slept above me in my rack, Port Hueneme.
So you took ships over, or did you
No,
fly?
we flew.
Okay.
We flew. No. We flew over, big cargo planes. I saw Nancy Sinatra. We landed in Oakland. Oakland, California, when we were going over. We had our rifles with us. I couldn't believe that. We all carried our rifles when we left. We were in Oakland Air.
With a rifle?
Yeah, the plane probably had 300-400 guys on it. Yeah. Like that. And saw Nancy Sinatra. Guys had her sign their shot cards and stuff. She's real small.
Yeah, she sang the boots song, right?
Yeah, made these boots for walking.
Yeah.
We landed at Hawaii first. We landed at Wake Island, which is only 3 feet above sea level.
Yeah, small island, right?
Yeah, we landed at Wake Island. That was the hottest place. Boy, it was that hot.
Really?
Yeah, man, it's just like steaming. The Philippines, Clark Air Force Base, we landed. Then flew on to Da Nang. Yeah, flew on to Da Nang.
So tell me, what do you remember about first landing in...
I got that.
In Vietnam?
We landed at night. They opened up the big cargo doors because of the kind of planes we were in. They flew open the doors, and then all this hot air rushed in. And it looked like it was daylight outside because there were so many flares going off. All you could see was flares, it was like daylight. And a guy came up in a Jeep with a 50 on it and just says, get out, get out, get out. So we all, we jump out and they put you in what they call cattle cars, You ever heard of them? Got in them, drove us over to Camp Hoover's where we were stationed. Where we were, and they said, well, get out, and then the first thing you do, you're in the line, of course, all the bullshit. They take all your money away from you. all your greenbacks, all your money, and then they give you occupation money in exchange. And then they said, well, they got a big box of ammo. And I said, well, how much can I take? He says, as much as you can carry. I said, okay. You grab a bunch of ammo, and you just shove it in your pocket or whatever. Can't remember too much about it. And then he said, we'll go outside and sleep and we'll count noses in the morning. Straighten everything out.
Yeah.
And then...
Did you get much sleep that first night there?
I don't know. It wasn't like it was a frontline place,
Right.
Yeah. I don't really remember just, everything's new. All these guys are young guys. I was older than most of them. I'd been around, a little bit, I could drink and I'd been partying for years,
Right.
But I had
So how long were you in this processing area?
Oh, just a few hours.
Yeah.
It wasn't long.
Where'd you go from there?
Well, we stayed right at that camp. Most of my tour of duty was at this Camp Hoover, which was by Hill 327, the big PX, right outside of Da Nang. Then you just go out and they assign you jobs, build chow halls, bunkers, revetments. I went up to Khe Sanh, worked on that runway. That was at the time of Hill 861 and 881 was taken, and there was a big battle up there. They lost, there was 1,500 guys killed at Khe Sanh total for the siege. I just came back from a reunion with them, and great bunch of guys. I went over to, when I was up at Khe Sanh, we're working at night, and I thought that was stupid, but because they tear it up, because the planes were landing. Oh yeah, I got it. My nose. As we're landing at Khe Sanh, it was a cut off at the top of the runway. We're going at a real steep angle, and I says to the guy, of course it was an old C-130, all full of bullet holes, man, all shot up. I said, how come we're coming in so steep? He said, well, they're shooting at us, that's why. He says as we fly in. So we fly in, and all they did was they come in, they taxi around, and everybody's jumping out of the airplane. They're like on the back thing. And we're running it, jumping in slip trenches, And then, because they're afraid they're going to get shelled right away. Then your guys are running out that are leaving, getting on the airplane, bumping into everybody and all that crap.
Chaos, right?
Oh yeah,
How long were you there working on that?
Oh, I was only at Khe Sanh for about a week.
Okay.
But these other guys that was in my platoon, some of them were there a long time, months. They were there months, building the revetments for the airplanes and bunkers for the Air Force pilots and stuff. Big bunkers, big bunkers. They were there. And we went over to Special Forces camp at Longueuil, which was an old French outpost. And it was all shot up, man. It was just blowed to hell. And we went over there and visited with them guys. And they got overrun. There was a big battle there. Them guys got overrun. There've been several stories written about that place. And there was Mountain Art Village. There were Mountain Arts up there. They weren't really Vietnamese. They were Mountain Arts. They were the Hungs, the Hmongs or whatever they call them guys. But these Mountain Arts were real stocky. And they carried big knives on their backs. And there was an experience there. Let's see. Yeah. The runway at night, there was a guy wrote a bunch of books. Stubbe, he wrote a bunch of books about Khe Sanh. If you ever get the chance to read one, he'd come by and he was the chaplain. He's 83 now, and he come by and was helping us. That's this kind of guy he was. So then what?
So where'd you go from Khe Sanh?
Well. From Khe Sanh, go back to your main base. I went to Hill 55. I was there quite a while. We were building stuff building Quonset huts and stuff. That's where that sniper was that they they talk about, they made movies about her too. Sniper at the bottom of the hill. It was a big hill. It was an old French place, that the French had controlled that. And you could look all over,
Right. Yeah. So for people who don't know, the French were there before.
Oh, yeah. There were, a lot of French, French had big bunkers,
Yeah.
You couldn't even go eat chow without your rifle. When you're over there on these outposts and stuff, they won't feed you unless you got your rifle.
Yeah.
Because you might get attacked anytime. Went to Liberty Bridge, worked on Liberty Bridge for a long time. We had, there's a bridge across the Song Thuban River that was up from Hill 55, further north. We were surrounded all the time, they had, we were with the Marines, slept in a big bunker. And then the guys who were there before me built. We had a guy fall off the bridge named Gotts. He fell, and his whole body hit the water, except his head hit one of them pontoon boats, killed this guy.
Oh, geez.
And I had just taken some movies of me and him shaving out a water buffalo a couple of days before that. And, Gotts. I don't know, 20, 30 years later, I finally called his mom, told her what happened.
Uh-huh.
I had movies, and I had some movies made, the last pictures ever taken of them. I had them sent to her. Gotts. Then we, on Hill 55, when we went down, Hill 55, then we went down by first tanks. Marines got a tank outfit. We stayed with them, we built them we were building Quonset huts, chow halls, whatever.
Places to sleep, places to eat, places to work, all that stuff.
Yeah. Built a lot of 2-hole and 1-hole shitters in my time.
Yeah.
Bill.
You got to have them, right?
Yeah, I got to have them. See, this outfit, they would transfer guys all over. They needed 4 guys here, 5 guys.
Yeah, so you didn't always travel with all your people, right?
No,
it
was just
whatever they needed.
Whatever. They needed 5 carpenters over here, or builders.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what's one thing that, like when you think about your time in Vietnam, what's one thing that stands out to you while you were there?
Let's take a quick break.
Veterans Archives is a 501c3 nonprofit organization, and we rely on donations from our listeners. If you are enjoying these stories and would like to support our continued efforts, please go to www.veteransarchives.org and select the donate button. Thank you.
That first day there.
Yeah.
When we landed, man. We landed, that's the first thing I thought, man, all that hot air came in. And,
Do you think, what the hell am I doing here?
yeah, well, boy, what I get myself into now.
Yeah.
We're in trouble now.
I think I've asked myself that question a few times in my military career. So how long were you actually in Vietnam then?
Well, what happened was, I got there, and our tour of duty for the Seabees was 8 months. I stayed 8 months, but I would have had to come back to the States and stay with the unit. Then they were coming back.
Right.
So I said, hell, I might as well just stay here because I'm getting combat pay.
Yeah.
I was only making $65 a month, So then I got one of the first guys to get an R&R to Australia. So I stayed for that reason.
Okay.
Went to Australia. It's one of the first guys in there before all them guys ruined it. You know how they do.
You got to see it before it got wrecked.
Yeah, before it got wrecked.
Yeah.
Went to Hong Kong twice. And, so I stayed 16 months.
So you did back-to-back tours, though.
Yeah, so I stayed. And when I got off the airplane, it was so close to my date. As I got off the airplane, they discharged me that day.
Wow. Okay.
I took my leave, some leave, and then they had to hang around, to do all the paperwork. Right. But I was discharged, and then I.
Well, let me ask you a question, though. I don't want to forget this. You were gone for 16 months. What was it like when you came back? Because you remember going there. You remember that first day. What was it like when you got back?
It was like I was leaving home when I come back.
Yeah.
I thought
you got used to it, right?
I was so used to being there,
Yeah.
being around, all
Did it feel foreign to be home almost?
Yeah. My mom and dad my aunt were waiting for me at the airport when I came back home. They had to sign up, welcome home, all my buddies come by, old buddies.
So you got home, they processed you out pretty quick, which is interesting because I've interviewed a couple of World War II vets, and the same thing kind of happened to them when they got back, because they were in kind of the tail end. They got home and they were discharged immediately. In fact, my stepdad from the Korean War was discharged right after he got home. So that was kind of a common thing back then, I guess.
Well, I only joined for 2 years, and I come back, and they were going to keep me. And they weren't going to extend me or nothing. I'd done my time, I did the 2 tours.
Yeah,
I just did it for the money and to go places. It wasn't like we were in a frontline outfit. We only had like 9, 10 guys get killed. We had 3 guys drowned. Oh, yeah. When we landed, as we were going to Vietnam on the airplane, we had 3 guys killed by a IED. It blew up and killed these 3. First class and the chief, I think they were, and they were killed. They were on the advanced party, and they got killed. And then we had guys drowned. We were down at Red Beach, which is close to China Beach, if you see that movie, but China Beach wasn't like that. We'd go, I've been down there. Red Beach was next to that. So they told them don't go in the water, bad undertow. They went in and that was it. One guy come out, the other 4 went in, one only come out.
Well,
we were putting a helicopter pad down there. That's why I was down there. We were putting a helicopter pad in.
Well, I think that's the interesting thing about military guys, right? Is when you tell them not to do something, that's what they want. That's immediately what they want to do, right? Don't go there. That's where you go. Don't do that. That's what you do. For all the discipline that we have being in the military, there's certain things that I find interesting. So the other thing that's interesting is that when you think about the Vietnam War, we lost a lot of people there. And to be able to make the statement, we only lost 9 or 10 people, which isn't a small number, really. But when you look at the whole thing, it was a small number.
We had a lot of guys get hurt in my outfit. There were a lot of guys walking around, broken arms, legs, all messed up.
So you get home, you get your discharge paperwork.
Yeah. I went back to carpenter school.
Okay.
Went back just, because I was getting money. I said, I'll just go here and continue out, and I stayed in heavy construction, concrete work, where you make forms, and I'd go up high. I'd go up. I worked at Zug Island. Familiar with Zug Island?
I am not. Where's that?
Down in, that's where they make steel.
Oh.
Steel mill. I worked on all them in there for years, 9 years, 10 years, on and off. Go in and reduce stuff. That kind of a job, you meet better. Not everybody stabbing everybody back, because it's all hard work and nobody wants them jobs.
Right.
So I stayed just with them guys and, just worked hard. And it was dangerous, so I was used to that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
We had a lot of guys, I've been on jobs, 3, 4 guys get killed at a time, guys fall. You see, a lot of accidents.
Well, the interesting thing about construction work is that it can be as dangerous as being in a combat zone. You're not getting shot at.
It was.
But there's an enemy there.
Yeah, you got it. Yeah, it was a very dangerous job.
Yeah. Did you learn things from your 2 years in the Seabees that helped you as a construction worker?
Just be careful.
Yeah, I can only imagine.
Yeah. So I like that adrenaline with this construction work. It was adrenaline.
Yeah.
All them jobs, we go up high. 600-800 feet in the air.
I don't like getting on a step stool, so just thinking about being that high up is terrifying. So when I came in today, I met your wife. So can you tell me a little bit about how you guys met?
What? Her daughter's married to my son.
Okay.
I met her 14 years ago.
Okay. All right. So how many children do you have?
3.
3 kids. Okay. All right. So were you married before then?
No,
Or no?
before I went in the military, no.
Okay.
My life's been very hectic.
Yeah. So how did you end up in Michigan? You started out in Florida.
Oh,
and then
Florida. My dad.
Yeah.
I told you, my grandpa. They came back here.
Okay. All right.
After he was discharged.
Right in this area here, do they live?
Detroit.
Okay.
Detroit. My grandpa. They all lived in. He owned a bar and all that down there. Horseshoe Bar. They had the apartments on top. And they were all friendly. My child life was good. All my relatives treated me good.
Mm-hmm. It sounds like you were around your extended family quite a bit.
Well, at that time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you stay in touch after you went in the military? You stay in touch with your family?
Oh, they had parties. We just got a picture here. They have a party once a year too.
Okay.
Sometimes we used to have parties here when I was in better shape.
Yeah.
Big family party, 60, 80 people. Got pictures, they'd all come over.
Those are the best. I think those are the best times.
Yeah.
Well, tell me a little bit. You'd mentioned that you had gone to this reunion just recently.
Yeah, Khe Sanh veterans.
Yeah, tell me a little bit about that.
Oh man, that was one of the best parties ever. I know they treated these guys so good. They had food. I tell you that they had food, beer, liquor, all day long for them.
Yeah.
And they took them on tours. Went on tours all over Louisville. Yeah, we got where they made the baseball bats. I met a guy that was there that I went to school with, Bob. It was Bob. Campbell was his name, and he had gotten wounded. I met him in the rear when I was back in the Da Nang, and he got shot in the stomach. He had a bullet wound. He's probably dead now. And then he was nice guy. My sister knew him better than me. We went to school with him.
Mm-hmm.
And then I met a guy I went to school with, I was in class with me, a guy named Hirschman. He was in the Seabees too.
Oh.
I met him over there. And my next door neighbor, he was a Marine. His brother got killed by a booby trap over there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Somebody else set it off and he got killed. Jerry Riles was this guy's name. But then I got...
Well, do you stay in touch with any of the people you served with? Do you still talk?
I talked to a guy named Bob Schmidt was up there in Khe Sanh for a long time. I talked to him on the phone. I go visit him I visited him a couple of times. He lives in Hibbing, Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
And then Jarvis, another guy. I talked to him. He was the guy. I was in his squad, and
right.
I talked to him quite a bit. He was supposed to go with me to this reunion, but I knew he wouldn't go. He'd make up an excuse. He don't want to go. He's afraid to travel and all that. He was a nice guy. Nice guy. Schmidt was a nice guy.
Well, Robert, it sounds like you lived a pretty interesting life. You've done a lot of stuff.
I could go on and on.
I think we can kind of wrap up our conversation. If you think of some things, though, you call me. People will listen to this conversation in the future. What would you like people to take away from this conversation and from your life? What message would you like to leave people?
Just work hard. I made a lot of money working hard.
Yeah.
I mean, just lead a good life. Don't mess over nobody. Don't try to be an asshole. You don't beat up on people. Treat people like you want to be treated, I would say.
Thank you for listening to the Veterans Archives podcast, where every veteran story is honored and celebrated. Join us as we explore the rich histories and experiences of those who have served our nation. You can catch our podcasts on all major podcast platforms, as well as every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Wreaths Across America Radio. At Veterans Archives, we believe your story matters. Visit our website at www.veteransarchives.org to discover more about our mission, access resources for veterans, and stay updated on upcoming episodes. Connect with us on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn to engage with our community. Subscribe, like, and share to spread awareness about our veterans' stories. Whether you're a veteran, a supporter, or simply curious about the profound journeys of those who have served, Veterans Archives invites you to listen in, learn, and be inspired. Join us as we continue to honor and preserve the legacies of our veterans. Remember, your story matters. Visit us online today at www.veteransarchives.org and connect with us on social media and stay informed and engaged. And as always, thank you for your support.